Hello everyone, D here with DJR Union, and today we have a little bit of news to go over. We got some set release announcements. As you can see on screen right now, we have Kaiju number 8, and we're going to go into everything a little bit in a second. We have some card reveals for Sword Art Online, which is coming up in a little bit. We still have some time before it comes out, but we are seeing some cards being revealed now, and we even have some cards for Fullmetal Alchemist, which isn't coming out until July, so we're going to be going over all of it right now. So first things first, Kaiju number 8 is coming out October 31st, and if you guys paid or watched the video that I had last time come out where we talked about how Rurouni Kenshin and season 2, well, volume 2 of Hunter x Hunter is going to be releasing on the same day in September. The month following that is Kaiju number 8 on October 31st, as well as, that's right, we're getting two things, Yu Yu Hakusho also releasing on October 31st, which is pretty great. We get two sets to release on the same day, which I think is really great. I think that's amazing for us, considering how having two sets release at once does really help with the whole catching up side of things. And we will see how things go in a second. So hopefully things really do pick up with getting multiple sets in one day as things move forward. The next thing that we're going to be going over here is going to be some of the cards that we have announced that are going to be coming up. And some of the cards here are going to be for Sword Art Online. So the first two that we have here, we got Elizabeth over here and we have Lifa over here. So we're going to be going through these cards real quick for Sword Art Online. And yeah, we're just going to jump right in. So first up, we have Lifa, 2 energy, 1 action, color trigger, which is really good. You know, R is going to be excited with the fact that we have 1 action point card that's a color trigger. When played, you get to choose up to 1 character on your field, and it gains this character can't be blocked by a character with 3 or less BP till end of turn, which is really good. It helps bring out your ability to attack through your opponent and not have to worry about chump blockers. They're now going to have to block with some of their more serious cards. They're more permanent cards that they're going to want to keep on the field. They won't have to, you know, be able to cheat out some easy blocks by sacrificing a lower energy, lower BP character. Elizabeth over here generates 2 energy as a 3 energy 1 action. Her trigger is going to be a draw trigger, which is really nice. We love draw triggers. And her ability is when played, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 goddess affinity card among them, add it to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order, and if you added a card to your hand, place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. So it's a typical search card. You know, you add it to hand, then you have to get rid of a card that's in your hand in order to really capitalize off of it. Who knows how this deck is going to play with the whole goddess affinity. For those who are, you know, caught up with some aspects of Sword Art Online, you know where this is headed. And I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just not going to say anything at all. But as you can see, images are under development, but let's just say these are pretty much essentially what they're going to be. Moving forward, we have some of the deck cards that are going to be in the starter deck. The first one here is 2 energy, 1 action. It is an event card known as Switch. You get to choose up to one of your AP cards, switch it to active, and then choose one of the following. Which, first of all, choosing one of your AP cards to switch to active being a part of an ability is actually kind of crazy. Anyways, choose up to 1 character on your field, move it to the other line, or you may choose 1 character on both your front and energy line and swap them, which is really good because, as you know, in this scene here, it's Kirito and Asuna going back and forth, him on one front attacking, switching with Asuna, then her going on the front line and attacking, then them switching back and forth. You know, that's literally their entire combat style. It is a draw trigger, which is really good, but you essentially get this card for free since you do get to choose up to one of your AP cards and switch it to active. So you're casting this for free. You're being able to switch, which is very key, especially when it comes to some of the cards in the set. Elizabeth over here, let's talk about this. 3 energy, 2 action. I want to talk about this. A 2 action card. As we all talk about 2 action point cards, it's kind of like a meme here on the channel. But here 2 action points. I think I like this 2 action point card right here. It generates 2 energy, so you can play it on the back line. It's a draw trigger, which is really good. But most importantly, when played, you draw 3 cards and place 1 from your hand into the sideline. So you essentially are drawing 2 cards, which is really good because there aren't many cards in the game that allow you to draw 2 cards into your deck. So to have a card like this where you draw 3 cards and then get to sideline 1 of your cards from your hand, it's pretty good because then you get a little extra option with what card you want to put into the sideline, but also because when you draw 3 cards deep, you also get to see a little bit more of what you might want to see when you're setting up your combo, especially when involving the switch card. So I do really like this card, especially since it also generates 2 energy, so it doesn't really matter what cards you're switching out with Switch that much, because you have this card to constantly generate that 2 energy. Next up, we got 4 energy, 1 action, Asuna. Here we have her active trigger, which, you switch your character to active and it gains 3k BP to end the turn. Really good trigger, really helps out with dealing with rest mechanics and stuff like that. So once per turn, when this character moves outside of your movement phase, basically, if you were to activate Switch, if you activate Switch and move her outside of the movement phase, she will gain 1k BP, putting her at 5k, and she gets impact until end of turn, which is really good because, again, we're going to talk about Kirito in a second, but Asuna gets a little ability, so if you're playing Kirito and switch out with Asuna, and there's a whole bunch of gimmicks that are going to be happening, and I can't wait to play blue, because the blue starter deck is looking really strong with all these cards that are in it. The starter deck might be like one of the first must-get starter decks in Union Arena for us. Like, this is crazy. We're seeing a lot of really good cards in this set already, especially just with the starter deck. Like, the starter deck having these really strong, powerful cards that you're going to need. Like, yes, JJK had some pretty good. I'm getting off on a tangent. We'll talk about things more in the future, but JJK also had some must-get cards in the deck as well. It had some UGs that were really powerful, as well as the Sakura raid that was a really strong raid, so much so that it could not be put in the same deck with the UG that searches fingers. So who knows what will happen with this set. But we're definitely seeing this Asuna possibly in some future decks, as well as this Kirito, 4 energy, 1 action raid Kirito with the raid trigger, obviously. When played, you may choose one other character on both your frontline and energy line and swap them, when played, of course. And if Asuna is on your field, this character will gain double attack until the end of the turn, only when played though, but it's still a really powerful ability because you turn him in, or you bring him in, you switch out someone else with Asuna, bring her to the front line, give her that 1k, that impact, and then he gets double attack. So you get 2 attacks with 4k, and then a 5k impactor. You're definitely going to be doing a lot of damage in just one turn for just getting these 2 characters out onto the field, especially if she's, like, already been out, and you get the character off. That means you got 2 other action points to do whatever you want to do with, which is really insane to think about. It's crazy what you could possibly see happening when it comes down to this deck. So now we're going to move forward just a little bit more with one last card, because I forgot about this card. 3 energy, 1 action Kirito. Generates 2 energy, and it's a color trigger, so 1 action color trigger. R is happy about that for sure. When played, choose up to 1 character on your field and move it to the other line. So once again, another ability that will definitely be strengthening this Asuna here. And who knows what other cards are going to be coming in the starter deck, as well as the permanent set for SAO, that are going to benefit greatly, especially in the blue side of things, with this moving characters all around the field. I can't wait to see what's happening, especially when it comes to the fact that you probably don't need a step character when you play in blue, because essentially with cards like Switch and this Kirito and this Kirito, every single one of your characters have step. I mean, in regards to this Kirito and this Kirito, the step is essentially kind of limited because you have to switch characters. But in the case of Switch, you don't need to have another character because you can just move a character to the energy line. So at any point in time in the game, you can have Elizabeth on your front line and then play Switch, move her to the energy line, and then boom, now she's generating you 2 energy. She's not on the front line to attack anymore. And the best part about it is that in early game, you could use her to cheat out a little bit of damage, and then on the next turn switch to the back line and then set up for end game, which is really good. You don't know what will happen in this game, and from the looks of it, things are going to be popping off really crazily. Alright, now for the last thing on today's agenda, we're going to be going over some of the Fullmetal Alchemist cards. We have been seeing some leaks coming around here, mostly regarding the Japanese cards, because if I remember correctly, Fullmetal Alchemist does come out, I think it's coming out next month. Fullmetal Alchemist comes out next month in Japan. So because of that, they're obviously revealing some of the cards that are going to be dropping in the set. And one of the cards here is Roy Mustang. And we have a few cards here to go over, but we're just going to be covering Roy Mustang for right now, and then we're moving on to the other ones, obviously. We're going to take our time with this. So, this character here is Roy Mustang, 4k BP, 5 energy, 1 action. Looks like it might be a raid trigger. I can't read Japanese that well, so we're going to assume it's a raid trigger. So, this is our 3-star art card. 3-star art, Roy. 3 stars, as you can see right here. 3 stars. Now, let's go over his abilities. If you have 0 cards in your hand, this character gets impact, which is really good. It's really good that he gets impact, like pretty much as many turns as he wants. Instead of just for 1 turn, he gets impact. He has it as long as there are 0 cards in your hand, which, let's see how hard it is to get 0 cards in your hand. So on play, you draw 1 card, which is pretty good, you know, get that extra draw, you get to see what else you can do in your deck. When attacking, place any number of cards from your hand to the sideline, and from that you could literally pick all the cards in your hand and put them in the sideline in order to trigger this, in order to get that impact. And when you do, you get to choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line, so you don't have to target it. You could literally just empty out your hand and not target anything. That is a possibility, but you get the added benefit of targeting stuff, so you're obviously going to want to target stuff. So you get to choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line with BP 1k or less, and kill it. However, for each card that you place into the sideline with this effect, you increase the BP range of characters you can choose with this effect by 1,000. So by discarding 1 card, that's 2,000, 2 cards is 3,000, so you pretty much have to discard 3 cards to start hitting the 4,000 mark. And when this effect kills a character, you can place 1 card from your hand to the sideline, so even if you don't discard your entire hand, let's say you discard like 3 cards to get that 4,000, but you have 1 card left in your hand, you can discard that last card. And if you do, instead you banish the character. You put it in the removal area, which is pretty much banishment. Which means they no longer get graveyard triggers. So decks like, pretty much a lot of decks that deal with purple and needing stuff in the sideline is heavily nerfed by this. Sakuna. Actually, no, Sakuna won't really see too much of a nerf with this. But it's still pretty effective with the fact that you're getting rid of cards on their field and then making it so that they're inaccessible. Essentially weeding out the purple side of things, because purple does love its graveyard triggers. Look at Ichigo with Bleach. Honestly, look at some of the other decks too that aren't just purple Bleach. Like, there's some other decks that came out recently that also really like the sideline. Like Garo. Garo really loves the sideline. So by killing off characters on their field and banishing them, Garo's not getting that 15 cards as easily as it normally does. And we will be talking about Garo a little bit more on the channel in a little bit, so don't worry. So the next card we're going to be going over, Roy's going to be a good card. We got to see what else supports him in a bit, and once we do, we'll know just how crazy this is going to be. Ooh, next up we got a 2-for-1 here. We're going to start over here with Riza Hawkeye over here. So Riza Hawkeye, as you know, you know, she pairs well with Roy, if you know what I mean. Anyways, on play, choose up to 1 of your characters on your opponent's front line. As you see, she has 4k BP at 4 energy. So choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line with 1500 more BP, and it loses 1k BP during that turn, which is pretty good. You know, a little bit of a nerf. That's really good. Just on her coming out, you nerf something, pretty good. But also, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Place any number of them on the top and any number on the bottom. Basically, you are scrying 4. You're looking 4 cards deep into your deck and then deciding which ones you want to keep on top, which ones you want to keep on bottom. And with the fact that with Roy Mustang you get to draw 1 card, you'd probably want to play her first and then bring out Roy Mustang, so you get that 1 card draw to get that card you really need right on the top. Or you're doing whatever else is pretty much available in blue Fullmetal, because there's going to be a lot of draw power when it comes to this. I mean, blue always has some good ways to get through the deck as quick as possible. So we're definitely going to see some crazy draw stuff going on with, especially with with blue Fullmetal. Next, on your main phase, if she's on the front line, once per turn, choose a character on your opponent's front line, and it loses 1k BP as long as it's at 1500 or more. So essentially, you can pick any character that's like, let's say 4k, and make it lose 2000 BP, putting it at 2k, just on her coming out. You raid her in, put her on the front line, activate this ability on play, activate this ability on front line. That's a character losing 2000 BP, or 2 characters losing 1000 BP each, which opens up the door to more attacks and more possibilities. So, we're going to be seeing blue Fullmetal a lot. Next up, we have the man of the hour, Edward Elric. He is the one, he is the only main character, essentially, of Fullmetal Alchemist, and you love to see him. Don't talk about his height. On your turn, this character gets 500 BP. Pretty nice. Not anything too super crazy. At 3500 BP for 4 energy, 1 action raid. Also another 3-star card. That's right, this set has 2 3-star cards. You're going to be looking for Edward Elric and Roy Mustang. So let's talk a little bit more about what Edward Elric brings to the table. So after this effect, on play you get to choose one of these 2 effects here. So 1, you can draw 2 cards and place 1 card from your hand to the sideline, which is a really good ability. You know, it's nothing crazy, but it's still something that you pretty much want to see, because you do want to go through your deck pretty quickly. And then this place 1 card from your hand to the sideline, we're going to talk about that in just 1 second. Just 1 second. We're going to have to talk about a different card to talk about this. But pretty much, if it's your turn, you may play 1 Alphonse Elric with required energy of 3 or less from your AP cost, and 1 AP cost from your sideline. You place 1 card from your hand to sideline? I mean, obviously you can't do both unless you had 2 Edward Elrics that you raid in 1 turn. Then you could. And then for 2 action points, you 1, do this to draw 2 cards and place 1 from hand to sideline with 1. And then with the second one, if it's your turn, you play 1 Alphonse Elric with required energy of 3 or less and 1 AP cost from your sideline to your area, meaning field, rested. Now, it's pretty cool that you get to play an Alphonse Elric, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what Alphonse Elric can do when we talk about his 2-star card when we get to it. And if you did, you get to place 1 card of this character's raid source to the outside area. Now, it's unfortunately a forced thing you have to do if you do play the Alphonse Elric. So you do get this character out with an Alphonse. However, he loses his raid state and is stuck at 3500 BP because he only gets this ability when he's raided. So it's not bad. You still do have that character who will be active on the turn he's played because you raided him. So since he's raided, he comes in active, but he loses his raid state, but he's still active and still able to swing on that turn that he comes out, which is really good. But you also get an extra body on the field as well. So we're going to talk more about this too when we get more of the cards revealed for Fullmetal Alchemist, because then we can talk more strategies and see what else is popping up when it comes to the fact that yellow Fullmetal is, I don't know really what to think about it so far with just this effect. So let's move on, shall we? Shall we move on a little bit? Also, I do want to point out real quick, this is a really cool effect, how you get to choose one of the following effects when it's played. Now, obviously, it's probably going to have a raid trigger, and since it might have a raid trigger, if you raid it on your opponent's turn, you don't get to activate the second ability. You only get to activate this first ability, where you get to draw 2 cards and place 1 from your hand to the sideline, which is, it's really good. It's better than the Bambietta, because as we mentioned, as R has mentioned before in a previous video, which I will link in the description below, Bambietta has an ability where, let's see if I can pull it up real quick for you guys actually. So here we are, we have Bambietta right here, and as you see, when she's played, if it's your turn, you choose 1 resting character on your opponent's front line and kill it, which is still pretty good. Don't get me wrong, it's a really strong ability that's honestly is essentially equivalent of a special trigger. So if you were to like get the raid trigger and raid on your turn, it's pretty insane because you get to kill something on their field. But the fact that it's only on your turn, it does kind of nerf the potential of the deck and the defensive capabilities. Like, honestly, what I probably would have done would say, if it's your turn, choose the resting character on your opponent's front line and sideline it. And then if it's your opponent's turn, have an alternative where it's like you just rest a character on the opponent's side of the field. So that way she would have a little bit more strength to her. But, you know, we're not game developers. We don't know what they're thinking, so we're going to let them make their game, right? So we're switching back over to Fullmetal Alchemist once again, and now we have Alphonse Elric and Greed. So we're starting to hit some fan favorites right now. Alphonse, the man, the myth, the absolute tank. The legend himself. So Alphonse Elric, 4 energy, 1 action. He's not a raid character, and this is the first card in Fullmetal Alchemist that we've seen that isn't a raid character, so let's start talking about him. If he's in the sideline, and if Gate of Truth is on your area, your field, reduce the required energy of this card in your outside area, sideline, by 1, meaning this is a 3 energy Alphonse in the sideline as long as Gate of Truth is on your field, which means it is targetable by Edward Elric's ability, who is also yellow. So you're putting those 2 in the deck together in order to get the best of both worlds and pretty much get this Alphonse out with Edward in order to capitalize on combos. So moving on, he has Nullify Impact, which is really good. It's always good to have a Nullify Impact, especially on a 4K BP character. It's really good, and he's a color trigger. Not bad. So you know you're gonna want to put him in the deck. I'm just saying you're gonna want to put him in. Anyways, on play, you can pay 1 AP. And if you do pay 1 AP, choose one of the following effects. If this character was played, whoops, there we go. If this character was played by your effect, basically if it's played by Edward Elric, you get both of the abilities instead for 1 AP, for 1 extra AP. So you can either, so pretty much you play him with Edward Elric to get, so, okay. you raid Edward Elric, use his ability when played to play Alphonse, right? Let's go back here. If it's your turn, you play an Alphonse with 3 energy and 1 AP from your outside area to your hand, to your field rested. As you do that, you only used 1 action point to get him and him out onto the field, right? Just 1 action point. For that second action point, you get both of these effects if you've done it with Edward Elric. Otherwise, you only get one of these effects. So let's talk about them. So for one, you choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and rest it, which is really good. You get more attacks through. And the second one is set this character to active. So if you play it normally, you get to either rest a character on your opponent's front line or bring this character to active, which if your character already has less characters than you want to put him as active. And if your character has about the same amount of characters as you're going to want to rest something, which, hey, you know what character would be really great to rest with this ability? Saitama. You know, Saitama, the character with 10k BP that no one can get through. I'm just saying, if you rest Saitama, I'm just saying, you get some attacks through. I mean, he won't be perma-rested or anything, like stopping you from doing it on the next turn, but he still is rested nonetheless, so you can get an attack through. Yes, some Saitamas can't be switched to active unless certain requirements are met, like in yellow, or if they do block on the next turn, they get returned back to hand, which kind of sucks, but if they got him out once, they can get him out a second time, I'm just saying. But you get both these effects, which I think is really good. This Alphonse Elric is probably definitely going to be a really good card. And we're just going to have to see what other cards are coming out in yellow to support the Elric brothers, because right now, it's not too impressive. It's still pretty interesting to see what we can do, but it's not too impressive right now. So now we're going to jump over to Greed. Greed here, when he's raided, he gets 1k BP. So you can play him raw like every other raid character if you wanted to, but if you put on a little bit more safety and raid him, he's at 5k BP, which is really good. 5k BP is a really powerful BP amount to have, especially at 6 energy. You're definitely going to be getting over a lot of cards and being able to protect yourself pretty easily at 5k BP. Now, when he's played, this character gains, your opponent must block this character's attack if possible during this turn, which is really good. You know, obviously on the turn he comes out, they have to block his 5k power, so their odds are they're losing a character, because at 5k, again, you get over a lot of characters in this game, so you're getting rid of a character on their field just for swinging. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Then, when this character dies and goes to the sideline, you can place 1 card from your hand to the sideline, and if you do, you play 1 Ling Yao, which is going to be the character that you raid on top of. And when you play that 1 Ling Yao, you're playing him with 4 less energy and 1 AP from your sideline to your field rested, which is still pretty good. It's not like you get a second blocker after he dies. No, it's just that you still have Ling Yao on the field and are able to raid again if you don't have a Ling Yao in your hand, but you do have another raid. So it's really good. You're able to get a better chance of getting a raid out. It's not too crazy, but again, we're going to have to see what other cards are going to support it, because right now, yellow is just not looking that strong in Fullmetal Alchemist. It's looking good for combo potential with the Elric brothers, but with Greed alone, who knows? We're going to have to wait to see what we have in store. And last but not least, we have the purple color, which is the last color for Fullmetal Alchemist. We got blue, yellow, and purple. Good colors. I love blue. Blue might just be my color for this game. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how things progress onward. But let's talk about them. We're going to talk about Lust over here first. Lust here. When you raid her, 4k BP, 4 energy, 1 action, by the way. On play, draw 2 cards and place 2 from your hand to the sideline. So you pretty much dig 2 cards in, put 2 in your sideline. And if you have 10 or more cards in your sideline, draw 1 additional card, which essentially means you draw 3, discard 2, which is still pretty nice. So as you can see, there is a whole gimmick around having cards in your sideline, which purple really loves cards in sideline. So maybe it's a little bit Muzan-y, who knows? We'll find out right now, because when she dies, return 1 of this character's raid source cards to your hand. So pretty much, if she dies, you're able to get her back into your hand, not the raid herself, but the card you raided on top of, back to hand, and then you'll be able to play again. So I'm assuming it's going to have a lot of good when played abilities, especially when it comes to purple more so than Greed over here. Greed might have some good win plays, or specifically Ling Yao might have some good win plays, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Same thing with Lust, she might have some good win plays, but we'll just have to see. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that. We're just gonna have to wait to see about the win played thing. Other than that, this ability is pretty nice. You get to go through your deck a little bit more, but we'll just have to wait and see. Last but not least, the last character of this deck, of the set that we have so far, is Envy. And Envy over here, raid, on play, this character gains impact during this turn, which isn't bad. You know, getting impact, at least for one turn, is really good, especially at 4k VP. You're getting through most things. You're not really going to have to worry about not dealing damage unless they have a nullify impact on their field. But even still, you're able to at least swing in and either get a free character gone because of nullify impact, or you're able to get a good damage in because of impact itself. And then also, when attacking, draw one card, place one card from your hand to the sideline. Not bad. Not bad, you know? Every time you attack, you get to draw a card, place one from your hand to the sideline. You're building up that sideline, and that will help out Lust. And maybe it might help out some other cards too. We don't know. We don't know. That's the excitement of it. We don't know. And last but not least, on retire, when this character is dead, choose up to one character on your opponent's front line and rest it, which is really good because, hey, you block the first character that attacks Envy. As soon as Envy dies, you rest a different character so you don't have to deal with whatever their shenanigans are going to be. So yeah, we're going to have to see what happens. Like, let's say they get two sides. Fullmetal Alchemist isn't looking too crazy. It's not looking too busted, but it's definitely looking really strong. It's definitely looking really powerful, and it's definitely looking like something I want to see more of, because I can't obviously just decide on how a game's going to go just off of these. With Saitama, you can kind of tell how when the One Punch Man cards were revealed and you saw the Saitama, it was like, yeah, okay, this card's kind of cracked. We're going to have a problem here. But with these cards, it's like, Roy, you can definitely see the potential because this ability is insane. When it comes to Risa, obviously she's probably going to be more so support for Roy, which, I mean, that checks out. The Elric brothers, they just combo with each other, which is pretty nice. I like that. It really sticks to how the two of them are literally working together throughout the series. Greed here, it's Greed. He just comes back, and then you got Lust and Envy. They like the sideline. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. We have, as you see, Yu Hakusho, Kaiju number 8. We got SAO coming up soon, and so do we have Fullmetal Alchemist. So stay tuned because we are going to be covering all of this stuff as it releases. And yeah, thank you for watching today's video. Just a news update, a little bit of a long news update because we did have to go through some cards here. But thank you all for watching nonetheless. If you want, go ahead and like the video and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on anything Union Arena English version related that gets announced, and we will make sure to bring the news to you as soon as possible, as well as stay tuned because we are going to be still going over a lot of One Punch Man stuff soon. We have some deck lists that are already made. We already have our decks made. We've got the videos up. We're editing them now, and we're definitely going to be bringing them to you as soon as possible throughout the rest of this month. And yeah, so stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of that content that we got in store for you. Also, thank you guys so much for 200 subscribers. We hit 200 and we were just like, what the heck? We're at 200 already? Like, we literally started this like not too long ago. It took us like, what, 5 months to get to 100, and then in just 3 months we got another 100 subscribers. Like, that's insane. That's really crazy. I didn't even think we could get to like freaking, bro. It's just insane to me. Like, thank you all so much for sticking with us and for joining us on this journey. So if you want to be a part of this journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm sorry, I'm saying that way too much. So that was the last time I'm saying that, I promise. Or at least for this video. So yeah, thank you all for watching today's video. Stay tuned. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. This has been D with DJR Union, signing off.